Hey guys, it's Mark from the Sports Corner, and it is time to give you my predictions for Week 8 and my best bets. The last few weeks I've been on a heater. It's been really great for me. Just to recap it for you real quick, on my best bets, I've gone 9-1 in the last 3 weeks. The last 2 weeks undefeated, 4-0 last week, 3-0 the week before that, and I hit some great parlays last week for you guys. They all came through, and then overall, predicting the last 2 weeks, every game predicting them, I went 15-11. So not too terrible, but they're not my best bets. So with all that being said, I like some really good games here as usual. I've break down everything, and I got all written down here. Breaking down every game. I'll give you which side I would be on if I was going to bet it. And at the end, I'll give you guys my best bets, and which ones I really feel good about and the ones I'm personally going to bet on. And we also throw in some player props here as well. There's a lot of good player props here I like this week. So it's a whole mixed bag, but I give you guys the best information I can and the games that I'm personally going to bet on as well. So with that, guys, like and subscribe, please. It's a small channel. I love doing this, though, so I'm going to continue doing it. Even if it only just reaches a few of you guys, I love doing this, and if you follow me, you're making a great profit. And I know I've made a great profit the last 3 weeks, so hopefully you guys are tailing me and making some good money as well. So here we go. Here's my Week 8 predictions. And our first game that we are going over is the Jets versus New England, with the Jets being favored by 7 points and the over and under being 41. Well, this game, it's kind of a snooze fest kind of game. It's going to be kind of a boring game, I think. You got the lackluster Jets who are, people were thinking Aaron Rodgers is healthy. He's finally going to, the Jets are one quarterback away to being really great. No, they're not. Even with the trade of Davante Adams, they get blown out by the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. What is going on here? I mean, the Jets are just being the Jets. That's what's going on. They're just shoot themselves in the foot like they always do. So, the Jets had better expectations going in this year. The Patriots, who they're playing, well, I think everybody knew they were rebuilding and they're going to be a, not good team. And they're not. So, both teams are coming off of losses. Like I said, Jets got blown out by the Steelers. Patriots got blown out. So, both these teams look like they're going the wrong direction, but somebody has to win. Let's start with the Patriots. We'll go pretty easy with them. They're 30th in the NFL when it comes to scoring, so that's awful. They had Brissett as a quarterback for the first, I believe, 5 games. So I can see but since Brissett's been benched for Drake May, the scoring has gone up some. So, Drake May's put a little more juice into this team. So it's not too terrible. It was just worse when Brissett was the quarterback. And they're 31st in passing yards per game, but that's because Brissett was the quarterback for the longest time. Drake May has changed that around a little bit. He looked all right against the Jaguars, but, they still got blown out. But Drake May is adding some juice to this team. We talk about Drake May. He has thrown for 541 yards and 5 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. That's pretty good. But Brissett, I think he had 2 touchdowns and 1 interception for 5 games. So Drake May's a race surpassing him in that aspect. His weapons, if you have Hunter Henry, if we're talking about fantasy here, he really favors Hunter Henry and Douglas. We're still waiting for Bourne to get things going. He's probably their best wide receiver, but he was hurt for a while, but still waiting for him to get things going, getting used to playing in the game. But Drake May, him and Hunter Henry have a good connection, so that's something to see. They are a running team, though, Stevenson and Gibson. Even though Stevenson's been hurt, he is playing this game, though. So is Gibson. But, their offensive line's still a little beat up, getting healthier, but not much. But like I said, he just doesn't have that many weapons. Nobody's scared of the Patriots wide receivers in Polk, Douglas, and Bourne. Hunter Henry's probably the only guy you're really scared of in that passing attack. And Drake May, the guy got to do wonders out there to put up any kind of points. Let's talk about the Jets. The Jets coming off an embarrassing loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Russell Wilson had a good game against the Jets defense. He had over 260 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And the Jets defense is supposed to be, their bread and butter. And Najee Harris had over 100 rushing yards himself. So the Jets are not looking so hot. The Jets are 1-4 against the spread in the last 5 games. Not good if you're a Jets betting man. And they beat the Patriots. I guess is the one take you could take from this. In week 3, they beat the Patriots 24-3. Again, that was when Brissett was the quarterback. When the guy just is terrible at his job. But with all that being said, let's just cut this short. Patriots can't rush the quarterback whatsoever. So meaning giving Aaron Rodgers time. Devontae Adams is going to help out Garrett Wilson out and Lazard. And Breece Hall under the new guy calling the offense, Coughlin, I believe his name is. He's having really great. He's looking really good. So I'm going to take the better quarterback, the better weapons, and 7 points is a lot, especially since they disappointed against the Pittsburgh and they just look like a mess, the Jets, because the Jets are always going to be the Jets. They're always going to shoot themselves in the foot. But I just can't take Drake May and his terrible weapons he has and a defense that cannot get to the quarterback. So give me the Jets eating the 7 points, covering the 7 points. I also lean towards the under a bit. I can see this game being 24-14. Something around that range. But I think the best play here is the Jets eating the 7 points. All right, in our second game, we have my Philadelphia Eagles versus the Cincinnati Bengals, with Cincinnati being a favorite by 3 points and the over and under being 48 points. Both these teams are coming in hot. They both won consecutive games. Bengals won 3 out of 4. Eagles coming off from a bye. They've won 2 in a row. But the teams they've beaten have been pretty terrible. The Giants, the Browns, 2 teams that they're not going nowhere. So both these teams beat up on these crappy teams, and now they're meeting each other in Cincinnati. So with that being said, the Bengals haven't won a game at home yet this season. The Eagles are 2-1 coming in on road games. In general, altogether, like I said, the Bengals have won 3 out of 4 last games. In that, Joe Burrow's been pretty awesome. The guy has 14 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions, which is really great. MVP type of year. He also has over 1,700 yards passing. So the guy's killing it because they have great weapons on offense. They have Jamar Chase and they have Higgins. Chase has over 600 yards receiving and 6 TDs. So, the guy's just doing his usual. The run game, though, not so great. Zach Moss, they really miss Mixon. Zach Moss and Brown, they're middle of the pack. They're average. So, they're not really going to impress anybody. But that's not their game. They have all the power on passing, and they want to pass the ball, and pass the ball. So that's what they're going to do. So let's talk about the Eagles. Eagles are coming off a blowout win against the Giants, 24-3, but that's the Giants. Revenge game for Saquon Barkley, so that's great. Good to see him going. Good to see this team turning more to the run, because that's what they need to do. Hurts now has done 3 games in a row without turning the ball over. That's what you want to see, because that was his biggest problem. Just give you Hurts stats, not so great, kind of looks average. He has 1,308 yards passing, 7 TDs passing, 4 interceptions only, and he has a few touchdowns rushing the ball. So we want to see more production from Hurts. I mean, the guy got all the weapons in the world, and he is not playing to that 2022 standard when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. They still haven't scored in the first quarter, which is nuts. The Eagles are the only team in the league who haven't scored yet in the first quarter. That's insane to me. You have A.J. Brown. You have Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. You have Barkley, Gainwell. And you can't score in the first quarter. That is a quarterback coaching problem. So get it together here, Philly. And the Eagles are 3-3 against the spread. The Eagles have won 4 of their 5 games on the road against teams with losing records. So that's a good note for you Philadelphia Eagles bettors. In the last 3 wins, they have only allowed 31 points combined. Now, the teams they've played in the last 3 games have been not that great, but holding those 3 teams to only 31 points combined is something. You want to beat the crappy teams, or you want to keep the crappy teams to a low margin to actually show you're worth something, Joe Burrow is the 7th most sacked QB in the NFL. That's really great because in the last 2 games, the Eagles have I believe 14 or 13 sacks in only 2 games. So that's really good and I believe that the Bengals left tackle is out or the right tackle. One of the right tackle, left tackle is out for the game. The Eagles are also without their left tackle, and that's not great because he's one of the best left tackles in the game. And the Cincinnati Bengals defensive end, Hendrickson, I believe I'm saying his name right, he has over 7 sacks, or he has 7 sacks. So the guy is really killing it. Bengals are allowing with the 4th most rushing touchdowns, and they're allowing 136 yards per game. So all that being said, you got one great powerful passing attack and you have one great running team. And, it's very hard for me to decide this game. As an Eagles fan, it's hard to choose this game. I want to say the over 48. That's what I lean towards. But I just don't think the Bengals are going to lose another game at home. It's October now. They're very slow starters, and they go on a trend of winning games. So with that, it kills me to say it. I will take the Cincinnati, taking the points with Cincinnati, that they cover the 3 points. It really kills me to say that, but I think that Joe Burrow, the better quarterback, they have weapons all over him. I think he goes a little bit untouched, and they just throw the ball, and they do enough to win the game. I could see this being a 20-27 game or 21-27 game, and the Bengals eke it out. Personally, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Eagles win, and I'll take this loss, but I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals covering the 3 points. All right, and our next game, we have the Green Bay Packers flying to Jacksonville and playing the Jaguars, with Green Bay being a favorite by 4 points and the over and under being 49. Packers have a great offense. Jordan Love, has 15 touchdowns. He has over 1,300 yards passing. Jacobs has over 500 yards rushing, but he only has 1 touchdown. They have solid, good weapons, not great weapons, but good weapons, and Reed, Watson, Dobbs as wide receiver group, and they have Kraft at tight end. So they have all this, but again and again and again, Jordan Love has to stop turning the ball over. The guy has 8 interceptions. He's tied with, I believe, Mahomes for the most interceptions, or Will Levis. It's one of those guys he's tied with. Okay, and the Packers could get away with that against the crappy teams, but you can't really get it that way with the real great teams. Like I said, they needed a game-winning field goal to beat the Houston Texans because Jordan Love likes throwing the ball to everybody else but his damn teammates. Okay, another good thing about Jordan Love is the guy is throwing multiple touchdowns, a game. So if you are Jordan Love better, I think he does get throws over 1.5 TDs this game. So that's a bet you guys should jump on. But let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They blew out the Patriots. Trevor Lawrence is looking like he's getting things rolling, and their new lead running back is Bigsby. He looks way better than Travis Etienne this year, and he has 400 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns on 67 carries. And the rookie they drafted, Brian Thompson Jr., looks like a great pick by them. His 530 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. So, the Jacksonville Jaguars are no slouches. It's their defense that sucks, but we'll get to that in a second. Like I said, let's talk about the Packers. They have a great offense, but Love needs to stop turning the goddamn ball over. Stop throwing interceptions. The Jags are 29th in the league with just 3 takeaways. So it looks like the Jaguars are not going to be causing any fumbles or intercepting any balls in this game. And Jags are allowing the most passing TDs this season. So that's not great since the Packers, they like to sling the rock a lot. And the Packers are allowing 18 points per game to their opponents, which shows you they're just not an offense. They're not just an offensive team. Their defense can really hold it together too. Packers lead the league in 17 takeaways. So vice versa from the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're actually taking the ball away. their safety had like a streak of 4 or 5 games with intercepting the opponent. So the Packers looks like that's really great. That's one statistic you want to be really good in. More turnovers equals more points sometimes, which equals more victories. And they're 8-3 against the spread in the last 11 games and 5-1 against the spread on the road in the last 6 road games. That's another good statistic if you are a Packers bettor. Now let's talk about the Jaguars. The Jaguars are coming off a blowout win against the Patriots, but it's the Patriots. They're awful. But, still a blowout win. And that's what you want to do with crappy teams. Trevor Lawrence in the last 3 games has 5 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, and for a total of 9 touchdowns and 3 picks and over 1,500 yards passing. So T-Law is not doing so bad. The running game looks great with the Travis and Tini and Bigsby. And the Jags do get their best linebacker or one of their best defenders back for this game. Good run-stopping running back. They're already allowing the 6th fewest rush yards per game. So if any people who got Jacobs as a fantasy player or you want to bet a player prop, probably shouldn't do that. But here's some bad news for the Jaguars. They're 0-8 against the spread against the NFC North. So it looks like the NFC North just has the Jaguars numbers. But you know what? The Jaguars are not looking bad as usual. They're pitting things together. I know they're 2-1 at home, so their games they have won, they've won them at home, so which is a great for any Jaguar bettors. And they beat the Colts, they lost to the Bears and blowout, and they beat the Patriots. Not too shabby. They only lost to 4 points to the Texans, and they got blown out by the Bills. But there's something going on here. You can see it. They changed the run game to Bigsby, and it looks like it's actually flowing, and it's helping Trevor Lawrence to find his receivers. All that being said, I know the Packers look like the smart bet here, but there's something about me that I don't trust this. I can see the Jaguars using the running game a lot and then going over the top and play actions and keeping T-Law on top of his feet. And I also could see the Jordan Love because the Jaguars don't really get to the quarterback too much. Jordan Love lighting up the Jaguars secondary. So my strongest play for this game is the over 49. Try to get it at 48 or 48.5. But I think that's the best bet. I see this game being 28-24 or 30-24. And I kind of lean towards the Packers. But I could see the Jaguars doing a backdoor cover. I could truly see it. But give me the over 49 as my best bet for this game. And I also like Jordan Love over 1.5 passing TDs. And even Ingram, the tight end from the Jaguars, over 3.5 or even 4.5 receptions. Because since he's come back, he gets a lot of attention from T-Law. But like I said, my best play for this game is the over 49 points. And, in our next game here, we're not going to spend too much time on it. I don't know anybody who could bet on this side. And if they are, they're insane. I know it's a big number. Tennessee versus Detroit. Detroit being favored by 10.5. In some places, I see it 11. And the over and under being 45. Like I said, this will be easy. Titans get blown out by the Bills. Titans are going to be without Will Levis. Mason Rudolph will be the quarterback, which, I don't know who's worse, him or Levis. At least Rudolph doesn't turn the ball over, but the guy is boring. Lions beat the Vikings in a tough game. I had the Lions money line on a great low profit for us, one of my best bets. And the Titans are kind of waving the flag. They traded their wide receiver in Hopkins. Hopkins, was a good reliable target for the Titans and Will Levis. And Lions are also going to be without Jamison Wilson. So 2 wide receivers on both teams are not going to be playing this game. The Titans are the worst passing team in the league. They're ranked number 32. They're only averaging 17.7 points a game. And their best quarter Snead is out the game. And the Lions have covered the spread in 4 of their last 5 games as a favorite. I think the morale in the Titans game has to be over. I believe also they traded one of their linebackers too, if I'm correct. So they traded one of their linebackers. They traded their one of their better wide receivers. They still have a good defense. It's not bad actually, but I don't know how you can take the Titans. Detroit might be overlooking this game, so it might be a backdoor cover. Like they're not taking the Titans serious enough. But I think the Lions do enough to cover this number. I think this number is good at 12 points. I could see this being a 14-28, 14-30, kind of game, because I just don't know how Tennessee keeps up with this team. Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd are the last wide receivers. I'm gonna bet that Boyd gets traded because I believe he's on a 1-year deal. It's gonna be hard to trade Calvin Ridley because he signed a multi-year deal with them, and then they have Pollard as a running back, which is good. He's been showing that he was worth the investment. The other running back I believe is questionable for this game. So the Titans, I just don't know how you could be on the other side of this. I don't see anybody could to pick the Titans plus the points unless that's the Detroit just decides they've completely ignored them and they let Pollard roll all over them. So with that, keeping it easy, I'll give me the Detroit eating the 10.5 points, covering the 10.5, even covering 11. I'll take it 11 or 11.5. I think they win this game easily. Like I said, 14-30, something around that range, 14-28. And when it comes to the over-under, I kind of lean towards the over, but I'm not touching that either. But yeah, give me Detroit covering the 10.5 or even up to 11.5 points. All right, in this game, we have the battle of the frauds. I say frauds because I picked this whole division in my fool's goal list because I think nobody's going to go. Whoever wins this division is not going anywhere. So that is the Falcons versus the Buccaneers, with Atlanta being a 2.5 point favorite and the over and under being 46. Falcons get embarrassed by the Seahawks. There was a blowout loss from them. Both these teams are pretenders, like I said. I said this before, even the big injuries to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Falcons can't rush the quarterback at all. I don't know what the hell they're doing. But not only that, Atlanta's 28th in the league in run stop win rate. So looks like they're not, stopping the run anytime either. Kirk Cousins, I guess he's having an okay year. 10 touchdowns, but 7 interceptions. He's not being the efficient Kirk Cousins we know. And he has over 1,800 yards passing. Don't forget, a lot of that came from one game. He threw over 500 yards in one game. The Falcons are killing in the running game, though. That's for their best bright spot. Bijan Robinson and Algier, those guys are a good 1-2 punch. Top 5 running back combos in the league right now. And Algier has over 480 yards rushing and 4 TDs, and Algier has over 300 yards rushing. So, almost 800 yards rushing between the both of them. And they also have Drake London, guys killing it this year, best year yet. 44 receptions with 491 yards and 5 touchdowns. Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're a little more they talk about. They lose last week, and they lose a bad game to the Ravens, which went over 70 points, but at what cost? They lose Mike Evans for a few weeks, so that over-the-top play is pretty much gone. And they lose Godwin. Godwin was leading them in receptions and yards. He had 50 receptions for 576 yards and 5 touchdowns. So the two weapons, the best weapons these teams had, are gone. They're gone for a few weeks. One's gone for the whole year in Godwin. So they're going to have to rely on the running game. Good thing about the Buccaneers is they have a great running game. They have a 3-headed monster in Rachaad White, Bucky Irving, who Bucky Irving now leads the team in yards, and Tucker. I think they could get Tucker in this too, the kid from Syracuse. So with that being said, Falcons have 2 really good running backs and who could pass the ball a little bit better. Now they can pass it better now than the Buccaneers, because the Buccaneers just have Otton at tight end and Shepard at wide receiver, and Shepard's not that great, just an average wide receiver. So they're depleted in the weapons, Tampa Bay, but they have a great running back room. And before they got their wide receivers were hurt, they were doing pretty well. They were top 10 in rushing. So they were more than a passing team. So, this game's a little tricky. It seems like Vegas is baiting you to take the Atlanta Falcons to cover the 2.5, because a lot of people because they want you to think Tampa lost all the players, and this can be, I don't know. I just don't get this line. This line confuses me. But I think these are going to be two teams running the ball on each other a lot. I think Mayfield's going to use his legs a lot to get first downs, and I also think that Mayfield's going to throw a couple interceptions. So give me the over 46 points, or if you get it at 45.5 or 45, I think this could be a 26-24 game, or 26 or 21-27 kind of game. But I also lean towards the Falcons covering the 2.5. I think they have just too many more weapons than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I like the over 46 as my best play in this game. All right, in this matchup, it's a pretty intriguing matchup now. We have the Cardinals versus the Dolphins, with Miami being favored by 4 points and the over-under being 46. I say intriguing now because Tua's back. Tua's coming back from a terrible concussion, and I'm glad to see he's back and healthy, but I wish the guy would wear one of those Guardian caps, but he doesn't want to wear one of them. So hopefully he doesn't get hit too hard in this game. And Cardinals have Kyle Murray, and they're coming off an upset win against the Chargers. It was a terrible and boring game, but they still won. And also the Dolphins lost an embarrassing game to the Colts, 16-10. Colts don't look too hot, but the Colts embarrassed the Dolphins. The Dolphins were a 3-point underdog in that game. Cardinals, like I said, are coming off a lucky win against the Chargers, but bad news for them. We're going to be playing this game without their two starting corners, and Sean Murphy-Bunting and Max Melton, so not really good for them. Good news for the Cardinals, if you are Cardinals better, is that they have covered the spread in their last 5 games against teams with worse records than them. So that's not bad. The Dolphins being 2-4 and the Cardinals being 3-4. And the Cardinals, not so good, by the way. The Cardinals are allowing 376 yards per game against them, and they're allowing 25.4 points. Now, the Cardinals usually need Kyle Murray to play Superman. He has great numbers, 9 touchdowns, only 3 picks, and he also has a few rushing touchdowns, and he has over 1,300 yards passing. And James Conner has over 500 yards rushing and a few touchdowns himself. And, Marvin Harrison Jr., the guy, I know he's a rookie, but he gets no separation, so he's nothing really to write home about. Their best receiver is their tight end, McBride. He has over 300 yards receiving and over 30 receptions. Good up-and-coming tight end. So, it's just Murray. Murray needs to beat you with his legs, and Conner needs to beat you with his legs as well. So that's how they beat you. And, Murray's really good at that. But to be Superman all the time, that can't win you a lot of games. You can't depend on one guy to be Superman every single game when he has hardly any support around him. So with that, let's talk about the Dolphins. They do have the worst scoring offense in the league, but that's because Tua has been out for, I believe, 4 games. Their backups behind Tua have been awful, stupid organization decisions by the Dolphins to not have a good backup behind Tua, because if they did have a decent backup like Flacco, they wouldn't be 2-4 because they have too many weapons on this team. They have Tyreek Hill, Waddle, A-Chain, Mostert. They have too many weapons to be 2-4, but they had the worst backup running backs. They had Skylar Thompson. The guy's like a 7th-round pick. Then they had some guy named Doyle, some dude off the street. He was terrible. Then they went to go pick up Huntley. He, I think, won 1 game from them out of the 3 games, but he was still awful, and he gets hurt. So I'm sure they're praying, thanking God that Tua's back, even though he's had too many concussions to maybe even keep on playing in the NFL. Besides that, some good news for the Dolphins. The Dolphins are allowing only 21.5 points a game. That's ranked 4th in the NFL, and they're the best against the pass. They have a great secondary. So that's another very surprising stat that a lot of people don't know. So with all that being said, a rusty Tua is better than the backups that the Dolphins were putting out there. So that's why I think that Tua puts a little spark to this team. Even if he's rusty, he's going to be better than the backups that the Miami Dolphins were putting out there. So I think the Dolphins win this game and they cover easily. And when it comes to the over-under, I lean towards the over. I can see this game being a 27-20 game or 18-30 game. But I believe the best bet is the Dolphins to cover the 4 points. All right, and in this game, we have a battle of rivals. That is the Colts versus the Texans, with Houston being a favorite by 5 points and the over-under being 45. Most importantly, from this matchup, is that the Colts get back Taylor, their best running back, one of the best running backs in the game. They get him back. That's a good weapon for them. And the Colts have a lot of good weapons. They just have a quarterback who cannot get the ball to any of these players. Richardson is wild. The guy has 6 interceptions for 3 touchdowns and only 700 yards passing. Now I know he's out a couple of games, but come on, man. The guy does not look like he's a starting quarterback in this league. And I know it's his basically his rookie year because he got hurt last year, but you expect more with the weapons they have. They have Pierce, they have Downs and Pittman. Those are just those wide receivers. And now they get Taylor back. And it's good they get Taylor back because their backup running backs were terrible. Goodson and Sermon. So those guys were awful. The Colts, let's talk about the Colts a little bit. They've lost their first 2 meetings with Houston by 2 and 4 points. That one going last couple weeks ago and the other one last year. They're 6-1 against the spread, one of the best teams against the spread, so that's really good news if you're a Colts bettor. And they also get their best Pro Bowl defensive tackle in DeForest Buckner. So they get their Pro Bowl defensive tackle in Buckner, and they get their Pro Bowl running back in Taylor. So good all-around additions for the Colts now. Colts are only allowing 21.3 points a game, which is decent, which is ranked 12th. But they're terrible against the run. Teams can run all over them. 150 teams are averaging basically 160 yards against them rushing. That is awful. The only way the Colts win this game is that Anthony Richardson doesn't turn the ball over. That's it. And him and Taylor use their legs to just pound the rock on the Texans over and over again. And then Anthony Richardson use some play action to get to his good receivers. So that's the only way I see it. But they get 2 additions, good 2 additions on the offensive and defensive side. So that's good. Let's talk about the Texans. They're coming off a close loss to the Packers. Not too bad. And they're 3-4 against the spread. And they have covered the spread once when favored by 5 points or more. So they have been doing good when they've been favored by a lot of points. That's something to, watch out there. CJ Stroud's doing great, but it looks like he's losing. He misses Nico Collins. Nico Collins is a great wide receiver. And without him, looks like, he's struggling a bit. CJ Stroud has over 1,600 yards passing, 10 TDs, and only 4 picks. You like to see that good ratio. And Joe Mixon, they needed him really bad. Now, since he's been back, he's been really lighting it up for the Texans. And for so far in the season, he has 77 carries for a little over 400 yards and 4 TDs. And like I said, Nico Collins is out, but Nico Collins was killing it. So, with all that being said, they lose closely to the Packers, and the Colts are covering a lot of spreads. One would think because they barely lost the Packers that, and they could have won that game, the Texans, easily. I think the Colts actually make a little bit a backdoor cover here. I think with the additions with Taylor coming back and their weapons, I think that's going to be, I think they just do a backdoor cover here. That's what I truly think. The Houston Texans offense seems a little stale right now. So with that being said, give me the Colts +5 or 5.5. And I also lean on the under in this game. I can see that being 2017 Colts. All right, in this matchup, we have the battle of the AFC North. The first place Ravens versus the crappy last place Browns, with the Baltimore being favored by 8 points and the over and under being 45 points. Let's just start with the Browns right away. Browns lose Watson for the year, and I didn't even know they had Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston was their third string quarterback. But if you guys, if some of you don't know or have forgotten, he started a few years for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he started a year or two for the Saints. So I didn't even know. I forgot he was on this team. He's better than DTR, the other quarterback that's behind Watson. And I would arguably say he's probably better than Watson because he has a cannon for an arm. He had some good seasons with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think by losing Watson and adding Jameis Winston, that's actually an improvement. You know, I know other players don't want to see other players get hurt, but there's probably some Cleveland Brown players thinking like, hey, our offense might be able to move the ball. We actually might be able to do anything now that Winston's the quarterback. So, in addition by subtraction. Nick Chubb, you know, a little more, he gets to play in this game, a little more rushes underneath his belt. Ford is not going to be in this game, the other running back, but not a bad running back trio. They got Nick Chubb, he's going to get more carries. Pierre Strong Jr., not that bad, and Foreman, not bad. Those are actually a nice little trio. With Nick Chubb was 100%, it'd be actually a real good running back room, but this is probably average, you know. Their whole offense is about average, but to below average since they traded Amari Cooper. But they were terrible. Now that Jameis Winston brings them up probably below average, but it's not that terrible in the offense. Now they have a quarterback to get them the ball. You know, they can't just worry about the run anymore when opposing teams playing the Browns. Winston can throw over the top. He has that kind of arm. So you know, I think the rushing game was going to be beneficial because of Winston. They're 2-5 against the spread. They're one of the suckiest teams in the league. The Browns have been underdogs 4 times this season and only have won once. So not good since they are an 8-point dog in this. But though the Cleveland Browns are 4th in the league in rushing yards allowed. So they're a great rushing team for defense, and that's good because they're going against the Ravens, the number 1 rushing offense. Let's get on the Ravens already. They look like one of the best teams, one of the teams that could reach the Super Bowl. I mean, what else can be said about them? They put up 41 points against the Buccaneers last week. Lamar Jackson throws for 5 touchdowns. Now he has 15 touchdowns and I believe only 2 interceptions. Henry is on his way to 1,000 yards. He could possibly get 1,000 yards this game. I believe he needs only 150 yards or 175 yards to get to 1,000. He has 10 to 11 touchdowns rushing and catching. Caught a touchdown last week. So they're firing on all cylinders. Bateman looked really great. Zay Flowers, the other guy. They're 2 tight ends. Likely and Andrews, a good duo. And they have a great backup running back in Justice Hill behind him. So the Ravens are looking awesome. The only thing about the Ravens is they have a piss poor secondary. One of the worst passing defense. It is actually the worst. Ranked last, 32th in passing yards allowed. That is terrible. They're number 1 in rushing, and they're number 1 in points scored, and they're number 1 in rush defense. So they have everything going around them, but you can pass on this terrible defense. And to add, you know, more fuel to the fire here about how bad their defense is, Humphrey, their starting corner, is doubtful for this game, and Wiggins, the young kid who I believe starts for them, or he gets a lot of time for them, is questionable for the game. So the secondary is more beat up. They haven't covered a spread this year when they're favored by 8.5 points or more. So the Ravens are a team that's really great, but you know, you go dig the numbers here, they're not going to win this game. Don't get me wrong. But I think this could be a sneaky cover by the Browns, with Winston adding some juice to the whole offense. So let's get to it. The Ravens are 5-2 against the spread. Really great. Jackson, MVP candidate, top 3. Henry, MVP candidate, he's right up there too. Best running back for sure. Number 1 in rushing. Number 1 in points scored. Number 1 rush defense. So all that together, with the Browns, get some extra juice from Jameis Winston. Give me the over 45. I think this is a 30-20 game, or 34-20 game. Okay, or 28-20 game. I think that's how I think the Cleveland could put up a couple touchdowns and field goals through the air on the Ravens. But I think the best play is the over 48. And if I was going to bet the other way, I would take the Browns at 8.5 or 9 or 9.5. I think they make a sneaky cover here. I think the Ravens are going to look past them, and I think the Browns can make a sneaky cover. But I think the best play is 45 points on the over. And this matchup is going to be pretty crappy, pretty awful. I don't know who's going to tune in to watch this game. I don't even know if their fan bases are going to tune in to watch this game. It's going to be so boring. Just like last week, the Arizona versus the Chargers, where it was a snooze fest. This will be a snooze fest. We have the Saints versus the Chargers. Chargers being favored by 7 points and the over-under being 41.5. Both these teams are coming off embarrassing losses. The Saints just getting bullied by the Broncos, just made fun of. And the Chargers losing to the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Chargers put up like 12 or 13 points only. Embarrassing. Where do we start? The Saints, let's start with the Saints. The Saints are all beat up. Spencer Rattler is god-awful. The Broncos just embarrassed them. The Saints have lost 5 straight. And the Chargers have lost 3 out of the last 4 games. So you can tell, really game busters here. The Saints are 1-4 against the spread. The Chargers, I guess one thing they have going for them is that AFC West teams have won 4 of their last 5 games against the NFC South. So that's something maybe the Chargers could put their hat on. But the Chargers are coming off a short week, which is not really good after that embarrassing loss from the Cardinals. Both these teams, Chris Olave might come back for the Saints, so that might add some juice because they did lose Rashid Shaheed for the year. I see he's questionable, so that's good. But the Chargers have a good defense. I'll give them that. The Chargers have one of the best defenses in the league. So that really can, even if they get Chris Olave back, that's not good. Both these teams rely on their running back and Kamara and Dobbins. Since David Carr's been out, Kamara is not looking so great. He's coming back to earth. And Dobbins had a bad game against the Cardinals last week when he should have had an awesome game against the Cardinals because the Cardinals they have a bad rush defense. So with all that being said, none of these guys, the Chargers have no wide receivers. Saints have 1. They both rely on the running backs, but the Chargers have the way better defense than the Saints do. Chargers have the better quarterback. Rattler's a rookie, and he looked like just straight ass against the Broncos. So with all that being said, give me the under 41.5. I can see this game being 21-14, 24-10, something around that range. I think the Chargers are going to hold the Saints back, but I think the Saints put up a few points up. Hell, maybe they just get a bunch of field goals. But I feel like the Chargers could probably get 2 touchdowns, some field goals. But give me the under. I think it's going to be around that, like I said, 20-10, 24-14, or 24-10. I think that's going to be. And if I was a betting man, if I was going to bet it for a team, that is, I am a betting man, obviously. But if I was going to pick a team in this, give me the Saints plus the points, because I do not trust the Chargers offense to cover this big number, but I do trust that these offenses are terrible enough to the under to hit. So give me the under 41.5. All right, in this matchup, it could be a very exciting, high-scoring game that has the Buffalo versus the Seahawks, with Buffalo being favored by 3 points and the over and under being 46.5. When you look at these teams and you see the teams they've defeated, the Bills are 5-2 and the Seahawks are 4-3. If you look at the teams they've defeated, they really haven't beaten nobody. The Bills' best win may be the Cardinals, or the Jets. Jets are 2-4, and the Cardinals are 3-4. So both these teams really haven't beaten anybody. The Seahawks are coming off their best win against the Falcons last week. They blew out the Falcons, and the Bills blew out the Titans. So, both these teams are kind of a little bit of fool's gold because they really haven't beaten anybody. But now somebody has to win between these teams. Like I said, Seattle got its biggest win last week, that against the Falcons. But, in the last 4 games, they have allowed 121 points put against them. Not good whatsoever. Metcalf is doubtful for the game. He's there over the top. Metcalf has been having a great year so far, so that hurts them, if he can't play, which looks like he's not. But they have Lockett and Smith, so they do have weapons. And Walker, Kenneth Walker, their running back, he's questionable. They need him. If they want to beat the Bills, they need Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet both healthy for this game. Little trade news here from Seahawks. Seahawks made a trade for a middle linebacker, Ernest Jones IV. He's a very good run stopping linebacker because the Seahawks are one of the worst rush defenses in the league. But they want to go trade somebody and get somebody, and they get a guy who could stop the run. So good move by them. Actually making moves. They see that the 49ers are falling apart, and they're like, hey, we can win this division. Let's go get a running linebacker to help us with this problem we have. Smart move by the Seahawks. Seahawks starting cornerback Trey Brown is questionable, so keep that in mind. Let's get on with the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills blew off the doors against the Titans, like I said, just blew them out. They're 4-3 against the spread. They have covered the spread twice this season when playing as a 3-point favorite. So that's good if your Bills better. And they're 4th in scoring. They're average 28.4 points a game. Allen hasn't thrown an interception yet this whole season. He has 1,483 yards passing and 12 touchdowns and no picks. Hey, look at that. Pretty good. And he's a top 5, definitely top 10 MVP candidate this year. They made the trade for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper didn't play that much, but they still got him over 60 yards receiving and a touchdown. Already integrating him in the system. Good. Allen builds a rapport with Cooper right away. Better watch out because that's what they needed. They needed a weapon for a wide receiver. And having Cooper's only going to help that wide receiving core. It's going to help Coleman, the good rookie they have there. And it's going to help Kincaid and Kaiser. So really good for the Bills to go make that trade. Another team, they see they need a need, and they make a trade. Just like the Seahawks, they make this. Smart move by both these teams. And lastly, the Bills have won 4 or 5 matchups against the NFC West. So 2 teams that I think have a lot to prove because they've beaten teams that are not good. The Seahawks coming off their best win, the Falcons, but I've been saying the Falcons and the whole NFC South are all pretenders. So I'm not saying that's actual good win. And Buffalo, God, they've been really nobody, but they've blown out the terrible teams, which is, you want to see. So with all that being said, I'm tempted to take the over 46 in this game. I'm really tempted to take the over 46. But I think the best play here is the Bills covering the number 3 points. I think with Cooper and the other, just makes the whole offense better. Allen is not turning the ball over. Geno has 8 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, so he's turned the ball over. And, so I just think the Bills with Allen using his legs as well with Cook and Cooper, I think they put enough points up to win this game like 24-20. But and if I was betting the over/under, I would probably lean towards the over. I could see the Buffalo Bills pitting up 27 points in this game, and I also see the Seahawks pitting 20 points a game. But the best play for here, I think, is Buffalo covering the 3 points. All right, and we have a great matchup here with the Chicago Bears versus the Commanders. Chicago being favored by 3 points and the over/under being 43. This line moved a lot because the injury to Jaden Daniels, which is not great for the Commanders. They say he's week to week, but they also say that he could possibly play this game. If they announce that Jaden Daniels does play this game, I bet a lot of people will take that Commanders +3 and take the over 43. So we're going to go about this that he's questionable for the game. Bears have won 3 games in a row, putting big points up, which is really great. But they really haven't won. All the teams they've beaten were against bad teams, like really bad teams. But you want to you want to put a lot of points on the bad teams to show that you could blow them out and compete with the better teams. Caleb Williams, in those 3 weeks, those 3 games, has thrown for 7 touchdowns and 1 interceptions. That's good. That's good to see from a rookie. Also, like I said, Swift has been really great since in the last 3 weeks. Swift, he's over 100 yards in each game, all-purpose yards in catching and rushing. So he's really turning it around. You want to see a little more from their passing. The rookie from the Bears is not putting up really good numbers, but Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, it's a good. They have a good wide receiving core, so that's good, and that helps because the Washington's defense is playing better lately, but Washington's defense is still not so good. They're average to below average. Let's talk about the Commanders. They need Jayden Daniels to play this game. I am not a Marcus Mariota fan, even though he looked good last week against the Panthers. They beat them, I think, 40-7. Still, I don't think he's that great. The Bears have a good defense. Even though the Bears are going to be out with their starting safety and one of their starting corners, I still think that Mariota is not. They played against the Panthers. The Panthers have the worst defense, and everybody's hurt. So you could put a JV quarterback, and they could probably put some points up against the Panthers, okay? So I'm not impressed that Marcus Mariota did it well against the Panthers, because I don't think he's going to put those same numbers up against the Bears. So if he plays, it's going to suffer. The rushing game is going to suffer, and Scary Terry's not going to get the ball that really well, or Ertz is not going to get the ball that really well, okay? And it's going to hurt the running game, like I just said. Bears are 5-1 against the spread this year. The Bears have covered 3 straight games as well, and the Commanders are 5-1 against the spread this season, and they're 3-0 against the spread as favorites. Commanders also are 0-4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games as a home underdog, which they are. So like I said, this all depends on Daniels. If Daniels plays the game, I like Daniels. If Daniels plays the game, try to get the plus points right away, okay, against the Bears. I also like the over if he does play the game, Daniels. But if he doesn't play Daniels, I like the under in this game, and I like the Bears to win. I know it's a little wishy-washy, but Daniels means that much. I don't think Daniels is going to play this game, because why would you want to hurt your rookie with broken ribs? So I'll go over one more time. If Jayden Daniels plays, I like them plus the points. Try to get the plus the points as fast as you can. And I like the over 43. I think it'll be a 28-21 game or 24-21 kind of game. And then if Jayden Daniels doesn't play, I like the Bears to win in a close game and the under. So I know it's a little wishy-washy, but this all depends on Jayden Daniels is playing or not, which any reasonable bettor would pay attention to. And with this matchup, it won't take me too long to get to the decision. We have the injury bug bitten Carolina Panthers versus the Denver Broncos. Broncos being favored by 10.5 and the over and under being 41. Bryce Young is now starting for the Carolina Panthers because Andy Dalton apparently got in a car accident and he hurt his hand. You know, this team just can't catch a break. A lot of their defensive players are hurt. A lot of the offensive guys have been hurt for the Panthers, in and out. You know, what can you say about Bryce Young? The guy, he just looks at more and more day that he's a bust. His numbers for the year are 299 yards passing, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Yeah. He's also 2-16 as a starter. That's awful times horrible. You know, they're going to have to rely on the running game. Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard are going to have to try to kill it. Chuba Hubbard's having a good year. I've been telling people that he's been a dark horse. He's really great. I also think he's going to get traded. And they also have that backup rookie running back in Brooks, I believe his name is. So if they get him back, maybe they can use 3 running backs to do something in this game. Panthers ranked dead last in a lot of the defensive stats. And bad news for the Panthers that Sutton, arguably the best corner in this game in the NFL, is coming back for the for this game. So, I don't think Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver, is going to get nothing. Probably not going to catch anything because Sutton's going to be on him like white on rice. So, with that being said, I think Bo Nix is going to have his best game probably this year. Probably going to use a lot of his legs. Javonte Williams is probably going to kill it too. Easy pick here. I think it's going to be like 30-6, 24 to, 9. And give me the Denver Broncos easily covering the 10.5. And Carolina Panthers, man, just start praying to whatever God you believe in, and hopefully, that this season ends fast for you guys, so you could just get that first round pick and maybe do something with it. And in this game, we have some big rivals facing each other. That is Kansas City versus the Raiders, with Kansas City being favored by 9.5 and the over and under being 41.5. This teams are usually good rivals against each other, but the Raiders are just awful this year. Who do they have? They traded away Devontae Adams. Gardner Minshew show didn't really work out well for them. Their running backs are awful, and White and Madison, so they really have nothing going for them in offense. Jacoby Myers is questionable for this game. All they have, the only shining light on the Raiders offense is Bowers, the tight end they drafted in the first round. He looks like a superstar in the making, but that's it. Other than that, it's an awful offense. Let's start with Kansas City here a bit. Kansas City is 4-1 against the Raiders in their last 5 matchups. But Mahomes is not having that good year. He has 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Now, he's thrown for almost 1,400 yards, but Mahomes tied for first in interceptions. That's kind of unheard of. Hunt he's been great since they signed him. Kareem Hunt for the Kansas City's having a great game. Had a great game last week. And kind of a big thing here. Kansas City traded for DeAndre Hopkins from the Tennessee Titans. What a great trade. They see that they need more weapons. Juju is hurt right now. So when he comes back, it's Hopkins, Juju, and Worthy and Travis Kelce. That's an above average to solid catching receiving core. Not too bad. Travis Kelce needs to pick it up because he looks like he's taking a step back. But, Juju and Hopkins, that's not bad. And Hopkins has a little more juice on him. I think he'll have more juice now that he's on a playoff team and he has the best quarterback throwing to him. Also, Kansas City is 8-2 in its past 10 regular season road games against the Raiders. So they've just been owning the Raiders left and right here. And I think the writing's on the wall. 9.5 is a large number. And Kansas City's offense has been, stale, even though they like to pound the ball a little bit. They won by 10 points last week, but nothing to really write home about. I think that Hopkins will play, but he'll play, not that many snaps. But I think that Kansas City will rely on their running game and their defense to win this game. So with that, I like the under 41.5, and I like Kareem Hunt for anytime TD. I think he gets it easy. The Raiders' rush defense is not so great. But I also think the under is going to come in because I think it's going to be a 23-10 game or 23-13 game. And I like if I was going to bet for a team to win, I would take the KC to win, to cover the 9.5. But I think the under is the best play here. But I also think the best play is Kareem Hunt anytime TD. And we have a classic matchup here. We have the Cowboys versus the 49ers. Niners being favored by 4 points and the over and under being 47. I say classic matchup because these teams were big rivals in the 90s. And you know what? We've looked on paper before the season started. You probably thought this was a good matchup. But now that these teams are really injury prone, it's not that great of a matchup. 49ers lose last week, but then they lose a lot of players. Deebo Samuel has ammonia. Hopefully the guy's okay. They say he's questionable, but I think that guy should probably take a break. Ammonia is nothing to mess with. Ayuk, the guy they signed for all that money, now is out for the year. And Jennings is out with a hip injury. So that's three of their starting wide receivers, that are out for the game. That's not so good. Mason, the running back, he's questionable for the game. So he's a little beat up. And when is CMC coming back? Is that guy ever going to come back? I think he might not come back for the rest of the year. And the 49ers are all beat up on defense as well. Same with the Cowboys. Parsons is questionable. Bland, one of their best corners, is out for the game. They already said he's not going to play this game. They need him back. So they got a lot of hurt players too. But let's start with the Cowboys. They're terrible against the run. They're allowing 143 yards rushing yards against them a game. They're in 3-3 against the spread. Not terrible. Dak has 1,600 yards passing for 8 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So, okay, not bad, not terrible, but not great either. Kendricks is questionable for the games. Cowboys have the worst rushing attack in all football, ranked 32. Ezekiel Elliott is garbage. He has no more legs. They do have Rico Dowdle. He has no touchdowns, by the way, no rushing touchdowns. But he has 246 yards rushing. That's pathetic. They do get Dalvin Cook. They might get Dalvin Cook back this game. I forgot he was on the Dallas Cowboys, but he may actually play this game, and they need it because their rushing attack is god-awful, worse in the league. But they're second in passing yards because they need to do that. They'll have to stay in games because that's all they have is Dak and CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson, and that's it. Other than that, it's pretty crappy. They might get Carson back, their rookie cornerback, he's good, he's not bad, so they might get him back for this game. So that's a good note. But the 49ers is the big picture here. They're so banged up. Purdy is falling back to earth a bit. The first 3 to 4 games, he was having a hell of a year. People were like, "Oh man, this guy MVP candidate." Well, he has 9 touchdowns and 7 picks now. Those interceptions keep rising and rising. And now that a lot of his weapons are gone, he still has Kittle, so that's not bad. If Mason plays, that's a good little matchup. Kittle and Mason, and Debo might play the game actually. So if Debo actually plays the game, even though coming off pneumonia, that's actually a good, nice little combo to try to survive in this league and win a game. But I'm not buying it. Let me give you some 2 stats here why I'm taking the Cowboys plus the points. Mike McCarthy is 13-3-1 against the spread off a bye for his career. And Dak Prescott is 19-4 against the spread with more than 7 days of rest. So the Dallas Cowboys are coming off a bye, and Dak is 19-4 against the spread when he's coming off 7 days rest or more. So give me that any day of the week. Give me a 49ers who are so beat up that I don't know if they could, maybe they could still win the game, but I could see Dallas win this game. It could be a 21-23 or 21-24 kind of game, and Dallas gets a backdoor cover. But I think the best play here is Cowboys plus 4, and if I had to bet the over-under, I'd probably go under 47 or under 47.5. But the best play here is Cowboys plus the points. Well, guys, now it's time for my best bets. Just a reminder, last week swept the board 4-0. 2 weeks before that, 3-0. And the week before that, 2-1. So 9 wins, 1 loss on my best bets. So all that being said, here are my 3 best bets. And my first best bet, it's a big number. But I think the Denver Broncos could cover the 10.5 because they're going against one of the worst quarterbacks, if not the worst quarterback in the league, in Bryce Young. Dalton gets hurt in a car crash. They got to pit Bryce Young in, and they're hurt everywhere. Also, Sutton is coming back for the Denver Broncos from a concussion. He's arguably the best cornerback in the game, and he'll be shadowing Deontay Johnson, their best wide receiver. So all the Panthers have is a rushing attack, and I think that's going to do nothing. I think Bo Nix and Javonte Williams are going to use their legs enough to just run all over the Panthers, and they'll cover this number easy. I think this will be a 24-6, 30-10 game, literally. I think they cover this number easy. So give me Denver Broncos covering the 10.5. I even like it at 11. And in my second best bet, I like Miami to cover the 3.5 to 4 points. I think David Tua coming back adds a little juice to this team. The running game's only getting better now because the Dolphins actually have a quarterback who could toss the ball now. Too many weapons all over the field. Tyreek Hill, Waddle are both healthy. The two running backs are healthy in A-Chain and Mercer. So they're going to play. So I like this. The Cardinals are too inconsistent. They barely beat the Chargers. So give me the Dolphins. Tua to make a statement showing everybody that he's back from his concussions, and they cover this 3.5 to 4 points. And for my last best bet for week 8 in the NFL, I have the Ravens and Browns going over 45.5 or 45, wherever you could get the number. Ravens have the best offense, the best rushing offense. The Browns have a decent rushing defense, but Lamar and Derrick Henry are going to get their rushing offenses in. They're going to get their rushes in, and they have a good passing game. They have two good tight ends, and likely Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews looking like he's rejuvenated himself. He's having great back-to-back weeks. And Bateman and Zay Flowers are a good receiving combo. So they're going to put up numbers, okay? The Browns are not going to be able to stop them for too long if they do hold them in the first couple quarters. And the Browns, I think they're going to get a little more juice because of their Jameis Winston coming back. They have Jerry Jeudy, not bad, and Elijah Moore, and a good tight end. That's not so bad. But they also have Nick Chubb, Pierre Strong, and Foreman. Not a bad running back group. But Nick Chubb, I feel like, will get a few more carries this game. And like I said, I think Jameis Winston will add a little more juice to this offense. They have a really good tight end. And they have two good tight ends and another good receiver in Cedric Wilson. So not bad. All that being said, I think both teams score enough. I can see this game being 27-20 or 28-20. And I think it's going to be kind of close in the first couple quarters. And eventually I think the Ravens are going to put enough points to hit that over for us and cover the 45.5 or 45, wherever you can get it. So give me the over in the Ravens and Browns game. All right, guys. Well, those are my predictions and my best bets for week 8. I really like my best bets this week. The last 3 weeks, I went 9-1. So if you guys subscribe or watch my videos, you made a profit. I sure damn well made a profit from my best bets. So if you could like and subscribe, that'd be great. It costs nothing to you guys, but you guys are just making a profit watching my best bets. So why don't you give me a like, subscribe. It really helps this small channel out. And I love doing this, guys. I do my research. I take a lot of time out of my day just to do this research, but I love doing it, like I said. Pay attention to my NBA picks. I put them out on my TikToks or my YouTube shorts. I really love the NBA, so those more videos will be coming out for them, and there'll be more videos coming out in other sports as well. So just keep an eye out. Please tell me in the comments, who do you like this week? Who are your best bets? Who did I miss? Any information you guys give out helps us all make money. So with that, guys, I love doing this, and I will always see you guys in the next one.